You know, Sony, I'm really getting sick of this dance we keep doing. You know, the one where I go into one of your movies with a bit of hope that the trailers haven't already shown me that I shouldn't bother wasting my time, and I sit down ready to give it a fighting chance, hoping through the magic of actually watching the thing, I may find something genuine beneath the surface. Like a film that wants to make me laugh, or one that wants to tell a compelling story, or even just wants me to enjoy some dumb action. All I ask is that you want to do something sincere with your movie. Sex Tape wants to give the impression that it's an edgy comedy about a couple who film themselves having sex and have to deal with the consequences of such, with a heart as the adventure allows them to rediscover why they loved each other in the first place. What it actually is a commercial for iPads and iPhones and MacBook Pros and Siri and OS and Mac monitors and YouPorn and Sony TVs and... Were there any Apple products I forgot to mention? Yeah, this kinda sucks. This feels like an attempt to cash in on the success that Universal had earlier this year with Bad Neighbors, another scenario in which a normal couple have to crawl out of their comfort zones and fight back, involving a lot of those supposed badass shots of them walking in slow motion with baseball bats and golf clubs in their hands, which is really only funny the one time. I didn't think Bad Neighbors was that great, but comedy is completely subjective and there's no dancing around that. What it did have, however, was something more than just that one conceptual gag of mum and dad fighting dirty. It also explored something relatively deep within the characters we were following and why they had such a quarrel with each other in the first place. The movie aimed to achieve something a little higher than what was expected of your average comedy flick. It tried to be more than just the sum of its parts. The problem here is, this premise isn't particularly interesting and, well, we'll get to that second problem in a minute. What is our premise? Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz are a couple with 2 children. After losing the sexual tension that made the relationship work so well for them in the first place, Diaz proposes a crazy idea. Hey, let's make a sex tape. Once the deed is done, the video file is somehow, it's never really explained, accidentally uploaded to all of their friends' iPads which they had given out as gifts. Now they have to band together to erase every copy and make sure none of their friends see it, and you notice from that description, the part about the whole video file just getting uploaded automatically to their friends' iPads doesn't even make sense? That's not the only thing. The script is ridden with illogical actions and inactions as long as it gets us another shot of take your pick. A couple show up pretending to be looking for donations to a charity and mention that iPads are a great donation. Rob Lowe just hands one over. Segel's friends know about their problem, and when it's revealed that their son has uploaded the video to YouPorn, Segel tells them and they don't believe him because the plot requires to have a scene where he sits down, watches the video, and compliments the camera on the iPad. They see the video online, and then instead of contacting the site and asking them to take it down, they decide to physically infiltrate YouPorn with weapons, hoping to smash the database and erase the file, because I guess YouPorn gave these guys a lot of money. There's a point where Jack Black shows up as the owner and even says the line, "If you emailed me, I would have taken it down." And I really can't tell if I should be more pissed that the film actually knows this. And that's the big glaring obvious intent behind all this. Logic goes out the window because it's a thin screenplay built on product placement. Meaning this whole thing is one giant excuse for itself to have us sit through Segel giving Apple Incorporated a really nice jerk-off for an hour and a half. It's a 16-bit display, which means more pixels and a better picture. I can't believe it's not broken. These things are really strong. You can definitely tell it's us in the video. The camera on that thing is amazing.
Siri, how do you perform CPR on a dog?
Well, geez, Sony, what other amazing things can these devices do? An ill-looking Jason Segel is likeable for the most part, and I know from other movies that the actor is good with comedic timing and has done decent work elsewhere, but his inability to play anyone other than the goofy, charming, childish, nice guy is really starting to wear thin at this point, right? Diaz isn't even playing a character, just an empty shell waiting to be filled up by the actress's annoying, bitchy, unlikable self. Annie's famous blog about parenthood and the hardships of maintaining a sex life, which every single person on the planet has read apparently, opens the film and provides us with a brief sum up of the couple's history together. And just when you think the first time section of the sequence, where they look about 40 yet are meant to be in high school, is purposely making the couple look incredibly shallow and childish because they're so young, you soon realise that it's not a joke. The sex really is meant to be a justifiable reason as to why they fell in love in the first place. The whole moral of the story can be dished out in one quick sentence and is so weak that the supposed heart the film wants you to think it has seems as obvious as the attempts to not show Cameron Diaz nude. At least A Dame to Kill For had that part covered. And funnily enough, the biggest insult of all is that it's not very funny. Build it all on shameless commercials, fill it with morally reprehensible characters, whatever. You could still have had your cake and eat it too. Nope. The writers have opted for crude gags and incredibly broad and simplistic slapstick involving over-the-top sexual positions, people getting hurt and or doing drugs, instead of using wit and clever dialogue to drive the humour home. It doesn't come off as funny as much as it does awkward. When you finally do get to see the sex tape at the end, it's so uncomfortable to watch that you start to feel like Bender from Crimes of the Heart. Anytime there is a legitimate funny gag or line, it's then held onto, forcibly dragged out and ruined because it just couldn't let go of one of the few funny jokes in its wheelhouse. I don't know if many people are planning on seeing this, but if you've stuck this long through the review, I can imagine you've already made up your mind. You'd be far better off just cutting out the middleman and going into your local Apple store. Seriously, Sony, this is just getting silly at this point. Cheers for watching, guys, and as always, if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel.